Welcome everybody, Zach from Imperium Racing here, going to do a valve cover gasket today. This is Acura Integra 1995 V18 V1 engine. Most of the B-Series engines and the Integra CRV will be similar to this, even if you have a dual overhead cam in a Civic or a Del Sol, it'll be pretty similar. Pretty simple. This one's been replaced before, you can tell because it's blue. The factory one is black. This car has 337,000 miles on it, so even though it's been replaced before, it's still leaking again. This cam seal has some goo around it. That worries me a little bit, but we're going to replace that cam seal too. Those leak, and the valve cover seal leaks over time. It just happens. It's going to happen on any high mileage engine. Alright, so here's the kit I got online. Pretty cool. I'll put a link for it. I just love how cheap Honda stuff is. We got the valve cover seal. We got all 4 seals for where the spark plugs go through the valve cover. And then these are for every bolt that holds the valve cover on, as well as the cam seal. This all came in a kit and it was like $12, $10, $15, something like that. It was way less than 20 bucks shipped, which is great. So if you're leaking some oil, you might as well just replace it. It's cheap. These bad boys that came in the kit go underneath each bolt. Quick overview of this job is we're going to remove the spark plug cables. Personally, I like to keep them in their little clips when we remove them. I'm just going to undo that bolt that holds the clip onto the valve cover and then just flop these all over together because then they'll stay in order. They are different lengths, so it's kind of hard to mess it up, but it's really easy to just keep them in these clips and just flip them out of the way all together. And then we'll undo that PCV line, and then we just got a few bolts holding the cover on. Make sure you put that ground back on when you're done. For these, just grip under each side and pull straight up on all of them. To get to that nut, go underneath with a wrench, or do what I did, just kind of push this out of the way and get on there. Make sure you set these somewhere that's not hot. Let's see, this looks like a good place to pry. Right there on the power steering pump bracket, nice and solid. Okay, now make sure we remove this old gasket. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this off now. You always wanna have a clean surface for any sealing surface, any gasket or anything like that. So I can see now there's some remnants of sealant here and here and here. Here, basically the corners around the camshafts. So a general rule of thumb is anytime you have a gasket on anything, you don't put sealant on it. 99.9% of the time that's going to be true. If you have work instructions to follow ever, follow those 100%, and these need a nice clean, smooth surface to seal against. And when you put your sealant on there, you're actually going to mess that up and it won't be able to work how it's supposed to work. Unless you're that one out of a million random gasket that people know leaks every time, even when it's done correctly, then you add sealant, that's fine, but that's super rare. Alright, we got the valve cover out. See, most of these guys fell off. So these guys pop into those holes. You can see which ones need seals. The ones that need seals come all the way through the cover. Make sure you take those old ones off. See, they get stuck. Pry them off. Not too hard to get off even when they're stuck. The rest of them came off when I flipped the valve cover upside down. They fell off. So I'm just gonna clean those out a little bit. And then these need to be replaced on the bottom, which is these guys that came in this kit. The fact that this is blue and these are orangish red makes me guess that they were not replaced at the same time. I'm not an expert, I haven't seen it all, but I've never seen a kit that comes with a blue gasket and an orange gasket for the same thing. That doesn't make any sense. So I would assume that someone replaced one of these, probably this, and left these in there. The point I'm trying to get to is if you're doing your valve cover, replace all the seals. The main one, the cam seal, spark plug seals, and the bolt seals. Just do them all. It's super cheap, it's really easy. Do them all at once. I just want to mention that these are directional. This side has a lip, that side does not, so it's got to go down. Just pay attention. You could probably force it on the wrong way if you tried. It goes in easy. Just like that. If it doesn't go in easy, you're doing something wrong. Someone added sealant to this. Finally got it out. I hate you. I've replaced a lot of cam seals before. This is by far the most annoying one, worst one I've done. By the way, I used lots of picks to get that out. Big old right angle. Just slid it in the edge. And by just slid it in the edge, I mean I did that for 20 minutes. All right, I counted all my old seals and whatnot. Make sure I'm not missing anything, because you really don't want to drop anything in the engine, obviously. Make sure all your seals stay on there. Make sure you clean all the sealing surface off. Make sure you go down nice and easy. These little lips on the inside edge of these will kind of center the cover. They will line the cover up for you. I'm not going to put this back on until I have the bolts tight, because you push this on, it's going to create tension and it might move the cover around while you're trying to tighten everything down. So get the sealing washers on there first, and then hand thread on these nuts. Don't forget your ground strap. And then once I get all these nuts on, I'll tighten them down evenly in order, torque them to spec, then we'll put that tube back on. Alright, so the torque spec for this is 86 inch-pounds, which would be 7.2 foot-pounds. Or I think it was 9.7 newton-meters. So first, snug them up by hand. I'm not going off any pattern here, I'm just guessing. I did this one first, probably should have done these two next, and then the outside. So go boom, 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 boom. Something like that. Just start in the middle, work your way out. Never do one corner or one side all the way tight and then do the other side. That goes for most gaskets. So I got them kind of snugged up. Now I'm gonna actually torque them. 86 inch-pounds is not very much, so if you don't have a torque wrench, get them hand tight. And by hand tight, I mean barely hand tight. That's almost nothing. Since this is such a low torque, I'm gonna double check them all. Just don't crank these super hard, that'd be too tight. Now, we got our ground strap on. Put this bracket back on. Make sure any kind of clamp like this style, you want to get back in the same spot it came off. Indentations on the hose, get it in the same spot. This is just PCV, it's not crazy important, but we want to be correct. So, one thing I forgot is this nut is where this is going to mount. That's fine. This thing's all torqued evenly and solid on there. The gasket's not going to move around if I take one bolt off. So, we're going to take one bolt. Drape these back in. Before I do that, I'm going to wipe this off just a little bit better. Try not to drop anything in there. I do have spark plugs in there, so it's not open combustion chamber, but still don't want to wipe anything in there. Doing the same thing on this one, taking the nut back off. Make sure you have that rubber seal underneath this bracket. Bracket on top, nut back on. Again, this thing's all tight and in place, so removing one nut at a time to, fix that little mistake is not an issue at all. Got my spark plug wires all dirty. Now I'm just gonna clean a little bit of brake clean, but good to go. That's how you do valve cover gasket, including the nut seals, spark plug seals, and our new cam seal in there. Thanks for joining me. That's how you do a valve cover gasket. Check out the channel for some other DIY stuff. Like, subscribe if you want. Keep up to date. We're gonna keep doing DIY stuff and track stuff and fun stuff and cool stuff. So that's the video. Peace.